Hey, what's up, guys? So today we're talking about Dragon Age 3 Inquisition. It's basically coming after Dragon Age 2, which has been some time since its release, and then of course you have Dragon Age 1. And it's a game from BioWare, which is a high fantasy RPG available on PC, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One, and it's will be released on November 18th, 2014. So it's a game that I think can actually be potentially the game of the year. I'm actually really excited about it. So, I want to share with you some of the research that I've done about the game and some news. For some of you who follow this game, the news quite thoroughly might not be as useful to you, but I'm coming from a context of someone who wasn't so interested about this game, and all of a sudden just it kind of got on my radar. So I like to always speak about context of the person who's speaking. So, my particular context was that I played Dragon Age 1 and 2. I liked certain aspects of it, but I won't say I was a fanboy about the game. Like people, there's a really, strong following with this game. Some people really, really love this game, and I can understand why. I definitely can understand why, and I can see the reasons why. But for me particularly, I like certain things about it. I really want to fall in love with both of the games, and I didn't actually find that to be the case. So I think this is useful for someone who's sort of on the fence about the franchise in general, and think is Dragon Age 3 going to be the one that sort of pushes them over the edge. And I think so. I think this could be really something that's going to be that really sticks with people and bring new people to the franchise. But ultimately, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. We'll see when it comes out, see what it's actually like, which I will do a review on it on this channel. So, the main thing that captured my interest with Dragon Age 3, it seems that BioWare really does a good job of listening to its users and finding what it did wrong in the last game. And one of the things I didn't like in the Dragon Age franchise in general was that it did feel like a closed off world. It wasn't so much of an open world game, and I'm more of an Elder Scrolls fan. I love Oblivion, my favorite game. Skyrim. I also like even open world games like Ultima 6 and Ultima 7. So to me, that's really open world games is where it's at. I really like that. So it seemed a little bit very enclosed at times, and I felt very restricted, which to me hampered my enjoyment of the game a little bit and making it feel more potentially immersive. So it seems like they really have hit on that point, trying to make this more of an open world game. From my understanding, it's not going to be as open world as Skyrim or Oblivion or the Elder Scrolls, but then again, what is? I think the only game that really sort of rivals that level of open world detail is the Ultimate series, but most games just don't have that level of detail like the Elder Scrolls series. But open world now has become really popular, that concept, and throwing it around. And sometimes you see people throw around with games, and they get really focused on making a wide world, but not necessarily a deep world, which Elder Scrolls is particularly that combination of wide and deep. So we'll see how deep it is, but looking at the previous games, the other Dragon Age, they definitely were deep. They definitely were detailed, and the combat, the characters, the crafting, the interactions with the characters, the different storylines. So there definitely was detail there. So I doubt BioWare to a certain degree will not capture that level of detail. My guess, obviously, when they say it's not going to be as open world as Skyrim or an Elder Scrolls game, is that probably not every object is movable, and to have that level of control of everything in the given world. But apparently might have about 200 hours of gameplay, so this is something that can keep a lot of people busy. So I think that BioWare, it seems like they taken all the lessons from the previous games and are mixing it up together and making it, I think, a really great game with Dragon Age 3, what it looks like. So, I'm going to talk briefly about Dragon Age 1 and 2, what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it. and I think Dragon Age 3 will ultimately do better by learning from those aspects. So Dragon Age 1, I mean, right off the bat, what I liked about it was the story. The story was great. You have a level of depth with the characters and how you interact with each other, and the characters feel like real living characters, and you actually can start romances and build friendships with them, and then they can actually not like your actions and leave your party. So I haven't really seen a game like that, and it really felt like a game, a good high fantasy game, it was like almost like reading a good high fantasy novel like Dragonlance or Belgariad, or even Game of Thrones to a certain degree, although more along the sort of Dragonlance style, because it's more of a classical high fantasy, going out with a party of 4 and going on a quest together and that type of stuff, right? So, the level of character depth was, I think, phenomenal, and that's what really held my interest, and I played the game from start to finish. What I didn't like about it, and this is my personal preference, and I say that and understand where people would actually like it. I do like a little bit more of an action-based RPG. Having said that, it's not that I don't play a turn-based RPG. Like Ultima 6 was one of my favorite games. Ultima 7 I'm actually playing right now, so I do actually I still can like that. But yeah, I actually didn't like that aspect so much. And I originally played this on a PS3, and I finished the game on a PS3, and then I got on the PC later on. The PS3, the graphics were really kind of muddy. They were really not up to a good standard, for a game. The PC was a different story. I saw the graphics were much better. So, it's, even though it's not turn-based per se, it was very sort of turn-based and tactical, and and I don't necessarily want to know all the details about, like, even in Skyrim or Oblivion, I don't like to craft weapons, like, I'm detail oriented to a certain degree, where I want to be able to zoom in on certain details, but not necessarily be that to be a necessity of the game. So, I really didn't like the combat, but some people do like that style of combat, and I could see that. So that's just a personal preference. Even an action-based RPG like Skyrim, it doesn't have perfect combat. It can be actually pretty easy at times, right? I think that the best in terms of RPG combat was Kingdoms of Amalur, which is more real-time based, but that's another game in itself. Now, in terms of Dragon Age 2, it seems like they heard the dislikes from people like myself and made the combat much more action-based and much more engaging. And with that, you could still go sort of into a turn-based style, but really that aspect, they change. And I actually really like that. I actually really enjoyed playing Dragon Age 2 on that basis alone. But the area that I didn't like about it, which was the most common complaint, is that the world seems so small. It seems smaller than Dragon Age 1, and they repeat areas, and that can get dry. And I ultimately didn't finish the game. I actually eventually lost interest in the game, but the initial start was actually better than the original Dragon Age for me, because it's just, I found that level of sort of more action-based combat to be much more interesting. So with Dragon Age 3, you got the open world aspect, which I think in general, Bioware's looking at that and seeing a lot of popular games and games that have a lot of longevity, like Skyrim. Like Skyrim now is still out. It's been out for 3 years now, and it's still a very popular game. And when you throw mods on it with the PC, it's a game that's just going to last a long time. Like, I still play Oblivion myself, which is the Elder Scrolls franchise, which originally came out in 2006. And you still get expanded quests. So I think they really see that, and really, I think realize the potential. Open world is, even though there's a lot of upfront work with that, it really can extend the franchise much longer. And also with mods and the user community being able to create stuff. So in terms of the combat, it seems like they try to get a mix between Dragon Age 1 and 2, which you can sort of play it how you want. You can play it with this sort of action-based style, and then go more to a tactical style combat. And you can manage the details you want. You can sort of zoom in more infinitely to one character and tell that character to drink potions all the time, or or sort of let it play itself a little bit more. So it seems like they're capturing the different likes and dislikes of Dragon Age 1 and 2 and sort of mashing it together. What's interesting is the PC version had a sort of tactical view which you can switch into sort of the camera into sort of a top-down perspective, which made this sort of PC version, aside from graphics and mods, something that was really favored by other people. All console versions will actually have that sort of tactical view that you can go into. So it seems like they are doing making a lot of effort to be able to get a good level of combat, and making that engaging for all different types of players. In terms of the content, it seems like there's lots to explore. The goal is they want to be able to have something that you talk about with your friends, and you basically did a side quest, and basically you say, hey, I got hammered at the bar, for instance, and they say, hey, I haven't done that quest before, right? So it seems like they want to make it wide enough that there's a lot of stuff that you haven't felt like that's uncovered. So in terms of the story is basically about a civil war that's taking place, and you can sort of travel between these two lands, Ferelden and Orlais, which is also something unique. Orlais was a land that was mentioned in Dragon Age 1 by character Lyanna, and it's more sort of a I guess French sort of architecture will be seen in that given land, and hasn't been seen before in the Dragon Age here. So story, I'm pretty sure is going to be really solid. Again, Dragon Age is known for that, the level of complexity, being able to have different sort of plot lines go into different ways. In terms of characters, you'll be able to play between a human, dwarf, and elf, and also you'll be able to play with a Qunari, which hasn't been done before, as well as a gay male, which I think is cool. They're embracing all the colors there, and making an open reception to that. Although in the other Dragon Age, you can actually do have you can have gay romances, which I think was quite open-minded. And possibly you might be able to import your old save games from previous versions. So I think that would be not your old save games, your old characters. We'll see if that pans out. Another thing that I think is also cool about it is that they, I think again they're taking sort of a lesson from the Elder Scrolls here, is that you have this sort of home base called the Skyhold, and that Skyhold is actually is customizable to a certain degree. So you'll look at outfitting it, and looking at different decor. Not everything, like not every chair or where it moves and all that sort of stuff will be movable, but I think that adds a nice touch. So I think Oblivion, they did that a little bit better than Skyrim, which you purchase different houses, and on that basis there, you could actually decorate it. And even then, in that game being as open world as it was, you didn't necessarily choose exact furniture that you wanted. Yeah, so and you didn't move every single piece of furniture as you wanted. But it's a really nice touch of making you feel immersed in the game, making you feel like you own this world, and you have a level of connection with it. So so another thing is also they haven't still released what the resolutions could be on for the consoles, particularly the PS4 and the Xbox One, which slightly worries me a little bit, because they did push back the date here for the original date release, and it was originally supposed to come out, I guess, early fall, and now they pushed it out to November 18th. So it makes me wonder how much testing they've done on some of the consoles. So hopefully they won't have a case where they have to push it back further for the consoles, or a case where, like with Skyrim, where on the PS3 version it was just pretty horrid because they didn't get to test it enough, and you'd have problems with it getting choppy. Personally, I'm more of a PC player, so it doesn't necessarily affect me. So, so I mean, it's just a small, minor concern, but I think end of the day, if it makes a better game, then it's worth the wait. But hopefully, everything will be all different platforms will be able to enjoy it. So, anyways, I think that this is, it's a highly anticipated game. I think this is really, the hype that's being built up for this is not all for naught. I think this is really a game that people could be talking about. It seems like Dragon Age 1 and Dragon Age 2 sort of caters to different audiences a little bit. And I think that's what ultimately makes the Elder Scrolls franchise so popular, because it can cater to such a wide audience and how people play it. You can have people who like to, do more of a shooter style, do the archery, or people who like magic to be a mage. So I think that's what makes it successful, and being able to capture those different audiences makes a mega game, which I think this has the potential to be. Like that. So we'll see when it comes out, November 18th. We'll see what comes out and see actually what it's like. But it seems like BioWare has it's doing their job to listen to their audience and be able to address different aspects and improve. So I'll see you on November 18th, and we'll get out a review on this channel. And we're signing out for now.